married, not dead. Woo. It's been a week. It's been a fun last 4 or 5 days. So much has happened. I know that I was thinking about you, Nick, because I wanted to be up there for Dick Gregory's memorial. And I knew it was kind of going to be spectacular beyond even what we did with the Walk of Fame, I'm sure, in terms of inspiration. And then you sort of sent us that group text. And the first thing I thought of, outside of the obvious stuff, which is, wow, that's pretty amazing. I'm so glad, Nick got to see that, the memories of Dick that I have that are limited, which make them more rich. But I thought after that was like the inspirational Olympics. To have Martin Luther King's son, Malcolm X's daughter, and Medgar Evers' daughter speak.
Oh, yeah, it was awesome.
And so my question to you, Nick, is who won the inspirational Olympics? Because you know that they were bringing their best speeches. Like, you can't be Malcolm X's daughter and come short, for example.
Yeah, well, it's funny that you mentioned her. I mean, she was the one who put it down.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, if you were to imagine what Malcolm X's daughter was like, that was it. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was her. Same thing with Martin Luther King's son. You get a certain vibe, a certain energy. Mm-hmm. And she would walk in a dark alley in a bad neighborhood by herself.
Right.
Like, that's the vibe. Like, you're not messing around. No, not at all. And she put it down like that. That's she had everybody riled up and, on their feet and clapping and yelling and, amening and doing everything. Cause she was an orator, much like her father. So yeah, it was, okay. If there was a comparison, then yeah, she would take it.
She won the gold medal of the inspirational Olympics. Okay. So what would be the line that would get me, Brian, and Jason out of our seats?
With her?
Mm-hmm.
Oh man. I think I can't give you a line from hers. But I think that it's just understanding the impact, because I think they all discuss it, but she discussed it, the impact of the struggle, that type of activism on the family. Mm-hmm. So whatever it is that one of the parents is doing, with their full mind, heart, body, and spirit, they're doing it for an amazing and excellent and, just a noteworthy cause.
Right.
But there are children there that, may suffer through some of this stuff, but they also learn a lot. And the big thing, I think, for me with all of them was really just legacy. I think that's what they spoke to. That's what a lot of people spoke to was, are you living or carrying out the legacy of your ancestors, right? Not just your father, your mother, but your ancestors. One of the points that they made was that we are here in the positions that we are in because of the sacrifices that our ancestors, the people who have gone before us, have made. So as you go on in your life day to day, are you being true to the sacrifice that they made? Like, are you treating yourself and other people in a way that they would be proud of? That is respecting what they did for you to get you here. Mm-hmm. And that was like, whoa. It's like, don't just do it for the people that are here, but do it for the people who got you here.
Right.
So anyway,
I love those kind of messages. Amazing. And so there is an inside, just on a lighter note, there is a sort of inside joke in Black culture about Black funerals. So I have to ask you, by the way, the inside joke is that Black funerals take too damn long. How long was his funeral?
He said take too damn long. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess it depends on who you are, right? So yeah, I did not expect it to take as long as it did. So the doors opened at 3:00. All right, doors opened at 3:00. The reception started at 4, and they were like, "If you don't get in by 3:15, we can't guarantee you a seat." Now, I had thought this thing was going to end at 6:00. I don't know where I got that from, but I didn't leave that place until 10:00 at night. And just to let you know, man, it was awesome because it was actually recorded. It was recorded and it was actually streamed live by TV1.
Yeah.
So there's a production value to this, right? There's a production happening. So there's timelines, there's potentially script writers involved. There's like a lot of stuff going on in a production. And it was going long, man. And they asked the speakers, hey, could you keep your speeches to like 3 minutes? Because we got to move this thing along.
They're going to bring out that Apollo clown with the hook.
They did, dude. But the thing is, like, they didn't, like, the people who got up didn't care. Like, they just said what they had planned to say. And then after a while, that's what they did. They had a straight man up there, and he would walk up to him real slow. And then everybody would see him and be like, just start laughing, and the person just giving their little talk. Like, they don't see this guy walking up on him, and he just keep walking. And what was even better about it is that, okay, you can imagine, like you said, black funeral, right?
Yeah, because at a black funeral, you'll see people in the back row on purpose so they can slide out. Right, but there's 99% black people in this church, right? But the straight man was a white dude, so it was even better. No. And he walked up, man, and at one point he grabbed this woman by her hand and led her off the stage. It was like, come on, baby, you're done. Like, you had your say, sister. Come on.
Yeah, you come on now, come on. But they had to do that a couple times, and actually twice they cut the people's mics off because they're just like, we can't do this. We gotta go. We're already running 4 hours over time. We gotta go. But anyway, it was long, but it was excellent.
But at least it came through. So as everyone else in this conversation, that we appreciate a good story, Nick. I appreciate you telling that story, and it's a very nice segue for us to pay some bills with Audible. So today, our sponsor for the show, and has been our sponsor for a while, is Audible. And as a listener to this podcast, we are going to hook you up with a free audiobook and a 30-day free trial from Audible. All you have to do is go to audibletrial.com/MND podcast. Again, that is audibletrial.com/MND podcast. And the crazy thing is I did read a book this week, and it is by Sarah Manguso, and it's a tiny little book, but it's excellent, guys. It's called 300 Arguments. I don't know if there's an audio version of this book. I read it in paperback. I hope there is, because I actually think it would apply nicely to audio. But this book is crazy. It's this really witty, clever book. And I pulled out one of the quotes from it that I thought was incredible. And here it goes. So I want you guys to listen closely, okay? We like stories that are false and seem true, like realistic novels, that are true and seem false, like true crime, that are false and seem false, like dragons and superheroes, or that are true and seem true, but it is harder to agree on what that is. Yeah, let that marinate for a second. And so I thought to myself for a while, and I could not think of even one story that was true that also seemed true that was in a book or a movie. Can any of you guys think of one? Because I can't. I'm spent.
Yeah, I got nothing for you.
That's tough, right? Because normally if it's true, it seems false, and that's why it's a movie.
Armageddon. That one's totally. totally rings true for me.
But is it true?
Oh wait.
I think you might have failed the quiz.
Make your peace with God, AJ.
It's like, wait, what?
It's a wonderful movie. I don't care what you say.
Yeah, it is good. My ass went and watched Deep Impact. I guess I got the short straw.
Yep.
They're like, which one do you want to watch, Deep Impact or Armageddon? I'm going Morgan Freeman.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Fail.
I don't think I've ever seen Armageddon from front to back, although I've heard the soundtrack.
Man.
Only because I was salty about having watched Armageddon or Deep Impact.
Deep Impact. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was actually like, is the Bible false, but we think it's true? Or is it true, but it seems false?
Well, you can't answer that question.
I'm trolling you guys.
Oh, well, you can.
What do you think, Brian? Which one do you think it is?
That's what I'm saying. It's a think answer. Let's leave it at that.
Yeah.
It is. It's you can't prove. So Nick, can you think of one? I can't. Or Brian, I can't think of one. True and seems true.
I mean, I saw one recently about the interracial couple. I think they were out of Virginia.
Oh, beautiful. Was it?
No, was it Lovers?
No, I can't even remember what it's called, but that was true. It seemed true. That movie was not a good movie, but it was true and it seemed true.
Yeah, we'll get that in the show notes. I remember that movie. I think it was actually up for Movie of the Year last year.
Yeah, it was.
It was.
The blonde
blonde guy, biracial girl, or
from Warrior. I can't remember the guy's name. He's good. I just don't. Sorry, buddy. Yeah. No, it looked fucking painful. So
it's called Loving.
Loving, not Lovers. Loving. Yeah, I was told by Nick. I think you told me it wasn't a good movie, and I was still going to watch it. But then you get confirmation. So by a second person, that usually closes the door. So a second person told me that the movie was just okay, but the performances were great. And it became this kind of thing. Okay, I'll watch this on Redbox or on Kodi. Wink, wink. So
I mean, if you got the time, that movie was long. Mm-hmm. It's 2 hours, and every 30 minutes seemed like it was an hour. So if you want to invest the time, go for it. But it's just one of those where you think something maybe more spectacular or interesting or earth-shattering or something is going to happen that's going to make the last 30 minutes worth it. And then it just never happens.
Okay.
So, yeah. So I think in that, because of the way the story was told, maybe there was no embellishment that gave me that satisfaction after the 30 minutes and the next 30 minutes. Maybe that's why it seemed so true.
So you thought there was going to be a sex scene?
No, man. It's just something, you
thought they were going to go monstrous ball on you?
No, man. That I couldn't watch that, dude. That was. I think I had actually walked out of the room.
What are you talking about?
You walked out of the room on monstrous ball with the Halle Berry scene?
Kidding me,
dude? That was a lot. I was like, come on, it was too much.
Not too many rated R movies fall into usable material, if you know what I mean. And that was it. That's on the list.
Oh, Jason. Speaking of that, I've got some fun stuff for you. And by the way, if you want the opposite of experience of loving, the book again is 300 Arguments by Sarah Manguso. It's short. You can read it in less than cover to cover in less than an hour. And it will change your life. I'm going to stand out there and say that because some of the writing is just pristine. It's brilliant. So
I do believe it's on Audible. There's a Kindle version. I think there's an Audible version as well.
Boom. audibletrial.com/MND podcast. Over 180,000 titles. And it seems like 300 Arguments is one of them. That is awesome. So Jason, you're talking about usable material, and there's a saying, who are you when no one is watching? Right? That's a saying. But today, analytics data answers that question, right?
Right.
That's a saying our parents would say because they didn't have the data. You could be Don Draper and then come home and be Cliff Huxtable. Maybe that's a bad example today. I don't know. Yeah, they took Cliff from us. Anyway, but yeah, that
They did.
right. So, but now you know the data. And for example, Pornhub data is very, very interesting. People think
you're going to call out Kevin Hart because he got busted today.
he did. Well, he made an apology over the weekend, and I tweeted about it, and my friends gave me shit about it on Twitter. But I said, it's not about me being involved in Kevin Hart's personal life. I don't give a shit. I'm saying that the principle of Kevin, you're Kevin Hart. You don't owe motherfuckers like me any explanations or apologies. You don't need to get on Instagram and have an apology video. Like, you're entertaining me. Like, you don't need to bring anything to my life. Like, keep that inside. Like, this is the generation of oversharing. Like, shut up.
That's right.
Be quiet. Just be quiet about it and be like our fathers and be shamed privately.
That's right. You never
He
heard
was
Eddie
getting
apologize.
blackmailed.
Yeah,
They were going to blackmail him to
Yes.
release a tape or something.
right. He was being extorted by the hoe that he was sleeping with. And that's the new game.
Now, let's not.
That's the new
let's not-
hustle.
Let's not.
Well, wait a
throw
second.
shit.
Wait a second. Are you not a whore if you're getting paid to fuck?
Oh, okay, sure. Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Retracted.
Oh, that's all. That's all. So a girl woos you, fucks you, and then says, "If you don't pay me every week, then I'm going to tell your wife."
Oh, yeah.
That's a hoe, right?
Okay. Hoe is a
That's a hoe with an agenda.
It's a scornful whore.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I love what Jason says it. It just sounds better.
Yeah, you gotta be careful, man. When you got that paper, the world flips.
Yeah. So real quick, is
Yes.
this is recent as in?
This weekend.
Today.
Well, no, like he's putting it out there,
Was
but
it?
like this is with his current marriage, not his prior one.
Yeah,
Okay.
current marriage.
Current
Gotcha.
with the kids and yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I mean,
It's hard to be a celebrity, man. It's hard to be a celebrity.
Yeah, I don't judge it.
Nope.
She wants half
apology
Eddie.
required.
That's right.
I don't understand the apology. What? Oh, I'm sorry, BC. I'm stepping on you.
No, I said she wants half Eddie.
Yes, that's right. See, Eddie didn't apologize. I don't understand the apology. You don't apologize to somebody. Apologize to your wife. The fuck do I mean to you? You know what I mean? Like, seriously, you're gonna stop going to his movies because he's
The problem is,
I'm not.
Eddie was just, Eddie's excuse was it wasn't me.
That's right.
With technology now, right? Like,
Right, he
oh,
pulled
no,
the
it
Shaggy.
was you, motherfucker. We've got your GPS signal. We've got you locked down.
Facebook has recognized your face.
Yeah, technology has ruined the art of the Draper.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, that is true. But look, the public apology. Draper would never publicly apologize. It's gross. It's gross.
Yeah.
You don't owe these people anything. Even if you are up for public office, you don't need, sorry to constituents. That's not anything. You don't have any feeling in that towards them. That's your. I don't understand how their lives become or their marriages become public property too. That's not accurate.
And here's the
If you think you're
craziest thing,
entitled to that.
Jay. Here's the craziest thing. His wife's going to stay with him. So they could have worked out a plan together to make it sound like they're swingers or they have an open marriage or anything they want. Because she's going to stay. Then why issue the apology and have all the egg on your face? You could have flipped it on the public if you're going to make a public statement.
I mean, if they said they were swingers, the American public can't relate to that
Yeah, they can't deal with
openly,
that.
right? They can everybody knows a cheater. Everybody knows someone that's or has, had a affair in their marriage, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you can relate to that. And someone's been, everyone, I don't know if everyone in this conversation, but everyone knows someone or has had to forgive somebody for infidelity at some level. You
Correct.
can, but you have like, oh, he's a swinger. Oh,
Yeah,
I don't know
most
about
people
that.
are totally aware of that. They hear it, they rumor it, but it's not. Yeah, that's not. That would have been a bad idea.
Just imagine the videos and pictures she must have if it worked so effectively to get him to do an Instagram apology.
Yeah,
I'm just trying to figure out if someone else was in the room.
Yeah. If there's other copies out there, I mean, this is going to be Not
No,
good.
I'm just saying, like, who recorded all this stuff? You know what I'm saying? Like the videos and the pictures. Was she doing it and he was just being stupid and, didn't notice? Like, hey, no, this ain't happening, But
She probably
was
went Kevin Bacon and Flatliners.
Right. Or was someone else there recording, is what I'm saying.
In the closet.
Do you see that they're making
Trapped in the closet.
Sorry to derail it a little bit more. Don't do the R. Kelly. There's our mention. Ding. There's like shots. Like if you're doing like a shot game, like listening to the podcast, every time somebody mentions R. Kelly, you do a shot. Is that?
Or
It's
Michael.
still not going to be a heavily drunk.
Right. Or Michael. Come on now.
No. And let's keep this to a 1 drink minimum. So no.
You did say 1 drink minimum, didn't you?
Yeah, 1 drink
Minimum. Not
minimum.
maximum.
Max.
Right.
Yeah, okay. You're right. Maximum.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not on 1 drink minimum.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, but I saw that they're doing I saw a trailer for Flatliners. Like they've
Remake.
redone it.
How's the trailer look?
So hard to tell with the trailer.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't, and here's another, you're going to judge me. I haven't seen the first one. I'm not going to watch this one either.
No, that's okay. There's no judgment. It's I don't think I've seen it. I've seen some of it. It's an 80s movie that was classic, but not in a great way.
Right.
I don't think.
I think I
feel bad for
liked
not
it.
seeing
I think I liked it because of what it contained at the age in which I saw it, similar to when I watched like Sliver or any of those William Baldwin movies, or what's the Sharon Stone movie that made her famous?
Oh, Basic Instinct.
Or like when I watched Basic Instinct at 14, it was all about the fact that I saw it on the down low.
Right.
So there you go. Nobody had to know. And today they might not be good. They might not even be good movies. So I'm with Brian on that. I don't know if I'd watch Flatliners again at all.
A good portion of those are not good movies. And welcome to MND Movie Review.
So
yeah.
So here's the deal. Kim Kardashian, by the way, her sex tape has been viewed 144 million times. Okay, so speaking of things you watch when you're alone and you don't think anyone else is watching.
144 million and 20.
Yep. Right. Okay, so that's incredible to me. We've talked about this idea how celebrity changed, right? From you really had to be great at something to get on TV to Jerry Seinfeld's point to now you can just release a sex tape and be famous. And look, if my point is this, if she can release a sex tape and launch her career and it's been viewed by half of the United States, let's say just by the raw numbers, then Kevin Hart is okay. Like, okay, she released a sex tape. Okay. We're going to all consume it and enjoy it. If you're smart, you'll go cut a deal and get paid off.
Let me tell you why. Let me tell you why he did it. Let me tell you why he did it. One word. Jumanji.
Oh, does he have Jumanji remake coming out?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I didn't think about that.
That's for kids.
Yeah, buddy. So that's it.
But I do think
good.
Yeah, but I do think we're being hypercritical. And he took a beating on Instagram and on Twitter from women. But check out some of this data. 37% of viewers of gay male porn are women. See, to your point earlier, guys, you could pull some Draper shit in the past, but now the data's out. You see? So women are viewing gay male porn at a clip of 37%. So that's crazy. 71% of the female traffic comes from the smartphones. So they're a little smarter than we are. We go, like we have talked about this before, we go to our houses on our desktop or our laptop and we want to get a good jerk. They are doing it on their phones, just trying to get a sneak peek.
Yeah, that's not the same. No diddling.
Yeah, right. That's different.
Exactly. So it is. It's pretty interesting, this data that we have now that tells you a lot about the consciousness of America and what people are really curious about versus what they say they're curious about. So anyway, what else happened? Let's see. Nick went to the Memorial. I had a crazy ass soccer tournament. Brian, what happened with you this weekend?
Let's see. Friday, I saw my son play. Play with a band, like high school band. It was awesome. He's like one of the leaders of it. He's turned into that.
Right. We haven't had a jack update
awesome.
In a while, so this is good.
Yeah. So he's doing that, and actually met his girlfriend. That was interesting.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, very nice little young lady. And
she a red bone?
No. And I do believe there'd be people on his mother's side that would
not approve.
Not approve.
He doesn't know what he's missing.
And then my daughter had her second soccer game and scored 3 goals, and that was that's a big deal.
Nice.
Because she is the first, I think, natural athlete of my kids. Like it's funny because my brother's kids are all dominant at soccer, all of them. Like he has two 10-year-old my 2 10-year-old nieces, the twins. They're both like they dominate, so much so that they got pretty much pushed out of the Williamson County League that they were in, and now they're in the Columbia League.
Williamson County, Tennessee, and Columbia, Tennessee.
Yeah, they got pushed out of one county because they were too good. Like they hadn't lost in like 2 years.
Wow.
And their parents were complaining, and so he had to move those 2 girls to another league, and now they're doing the same thing there.
Wow.
And it's very funny. And the boys are good too. His 2 boys are getting good. But my 2 sons, they just don't. They have. They kind of do their own, march to their own beat like their dad. And but my daughter, she has that gene. She has the athletic gene, and she looks like she's actually the one that's gonna carry the flag, I guess. But anyway, so that was huge for me. Like I was beaming.
That is
with,
a
joy.
proud dad weekend. I had some awkward shit happen at my soccer tournament in the bathroom, where all things awkward happened to me for whatever reason. But it was a community bathroom because I didn't want to go to the porta-john in front of like the other parents because of the shame. And
you mean from the smell when you open the door? What's the shame?
Just the fact that you're in there and if look, I had to, if you have to deuce out, you just don't know how thick those walls are. You just don't want to put yourself in that situation.
True.
Where you're doing, I've got a shy booty, so I can't be.
I have never pooped in an out or what are they called?
Porta-john.
I've never.
Yeah.
I've never ever.
Right, because you have to hover anyway, because you can't trust.
Yeah, I can't hover. That's too much.
Yeah.
Hover and hold your breath.
Yeah, and then and then hope they have that hand sanitizer in there. Otherwise, yeah, it's trouble. So I'm in this bathroom, and because no one wants to go to the porta-john, it's very crowded. Of course, it's kind of like an airport bathroom where there's a line forming. Okay. And in comes this guy. Have you ever seen a guy on a rolling crutch? So instead of using the manual crutches that go under your armpits when you have a injury.
Oh yeah, he's got the scooter.
He's got the scooter thing. You guys know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, with the thing under his knee, that kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He rolls in. He's on the rolling crutch, and he's in the line with like 2, 3, 4 others, adults, and we're just sitting there waiting for our turn. And the bathroom's small, so you're in close proximity to one another, and shit's getting awkward. It's hot. It's getting awkward. We're shoulder to shoulder. Each of us either have to pee or shit desperately. And some people can't take social anxiety like that. They cannot bear it for too long. The silence, the waiting, the heat, the flies, the smell, whatever it is. So one of the guys turns to the rolling crutch guy and just says, "What do you got there? A bum leg?" It's like, what the fuck? What do you got there? A bum leg? And so, like, what is the best way to break a conversation?
40s movie here? I don't understand.
Yeah, like
the best way to
what's the best way to broach a conversation with a handicapped person? Like, how do you open the conversation? Is that the way to do it? I don't know. Like if you...
Like by focusing on their handicap?
Yeah.
Right.
What do you got there? Cerebral palsy?
Right.
It's not good. It's not good. It's not good. I was like, God, they cannot finish fast enough.
I wanted to know.
You're right.
Yeah.
I mean, I was curious.
Right.
It wasn't me.
What do you got there? Leg braces, Forrest? It's almost it's almost an insult. The question itself.
It is.
It is an insult. There's no almost.
What do you got there? Bum leg? What do you think I got there, motherfucker?
Right. You want one?
I got the diabetes.
Right.
We do weird shit, and we don't realize it's weird sometimes. As adults, like we do weird shit in social situations, and we don't know it's weird.
Uncomfortable. Yeah, when you're uncomfortable.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. It's crazy. Jason, have you ever had a situation where you did some weird shit because you were socially uncomfortable and you're like, why did I do that?
Yeah, I tried to make small talk with a stripper once. It didn't really pan out for me. I didn't really know what to say there.
What was your opening line?
I said, so is the cost of living high around here? Is it fairly?
Oh, wow.
I was 19. I was at a deja vu in Kalamazoo, and I remember as the words were coming out of my mouth, I was like, "Oh my God, what the hell did I just say?"
Wow,
and that's the best.
That declined quickly.
Okay, so it didn't. Yeah, you weren't able to rescue yourself from that.
No. He said it declined.
It declined rapidly.
It did. My buddy looked at me like, "What the fuck are you doing, man?" And that was it. That was the last real visit we got to our table. He's going to ask you some strange questions.
Not even cash could get you out of that one.
Right.
What are you doing? You're sitting there looking at a mostly naked person. You're like, I don't know what to do. What do you say to that?
How many bruises you got? That has to be way up there with like the top worst questions you can ask a stripper while they're on the job. So,
or how many kids am I paying for?
Exactly. I have some terrible experiences with the strip club. I might share one day or not. Nick, have you ever had an awkward pickup line?
No.
Or one that you just thought that wasn't that great in retrospect? Like in the moment you thought it was awesome and then...
Nope. I'm not that dude, man.
You never use pickup line? Like do you not have game or do you not rely on game?
No, I don't have game. And I never was that confident to roll up on somebody like that. You know, like the whole, your feet must be tired. It's been running around my mind all day. You know what I'm saying?
See, I figured you'd come at it more intellectually, Nick. I figured you'd come at it like, do you know the difference between a woman's arguments and a knife? No, what, Nick? The knife has a point.
You stupid.
No, imagine that's ever worked for you.
Right.
Again, it's a bad line, but it's intellectual. It's thought out. Yeah, Brian, what about you? You fall on your face with any pickup lines?
Oh, man.
And sorry to all the women out there, by the way.
I'm an awkward person anyway. So, I'm that awkward guy. I mean, I wouldn't have asked the guy if his leg he's got a bum leg, but I would have said some stupid shit.
Bum leg?
Yeah. I whenever I'm in situations like that, I'm actually pretty quiet, but it's usually, I'm usually not the one that says the stupid ass thing, but I usually, the first thing that comes out of my mouth is just usually asinine.
Yeah. So women normally like do they approach you, and then from there it gets easier for you, or have you ever had to just walk up to a girl and be like, "I want you, I like you, you're beautiful, whatever," and go for it?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I guess I never really had. I mean, I've been approached, but I never really approached.
It's interesting because I think that's I relate to sort of all three of your points. I don't trust a dude that's too smooth with it. A little bit of awkwardness is kind of endearing to me.
You always hesitate when a guy's pickup line is too smooth for you.
Well done.
Yeah, he doesn't trust. Yeah, he doesn't trust him.
Yeah, I just think there's an honesty a woman might be looking for from a guy that if it's a little too polished, you almost want to dirty up your approach on purpose, even just to seem more real, like you've not rehearsed this or not done it 100 times.
I don't know. I don't know who these guys are.
Like who? Yeah, like who are the pickup line guys? Like I don't know these guys. I don't know.
I've never even verbally picked up a woman. So
what does that mean? You've never verbally picked up a woman? Like I've
never started a conversation with somebody. And
you just give her the look.
Yep, that's what I was gonna say. Just give them the look, man.
Is that what you told me about R&B music? You don't need R&B music. You're
that's
there.
That's right, man.
Drop your panties.
Panties drop. That's right.
I'm there.
So I
like that.
I've never been in that situation. I mean, I've wanted to. Admitted, yeah, I'll admit that. Like I've wanted to be like, man, I wish I'd love to talk to her. People are like, go talk to her. No, I don't. No, I don't know what to say.
I think the simplest thing is if you know that you're getting a good vibe, you just walk over and say, hey, can I get you a drink? Can we talk? It can be. I think lines are stupid.
You know what?
Because I never bought anybody a drink.
Yeah, so. You're probably right, and maybe I'll try that next time.
Let me know how your wife gets that worked out.
Right, exactly. You're like, what?
It's the best.
So is today's line the dick pic?
Yeah, maybe so.
Like cut to the chase.
Yeah, it's all about efficiency.
No, I'll give you one better.
And has that worked?
It's a numbers game. Like I'll send 100 dick pics, and
but you got to get to get the number. But you got to get the number or the social whatever. Like when I say social, like their social media handle and DM them or whatever. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking that the number one pickup line is you've been matched.
The swipe left.
No, man, they've been doing this on all of these Match.com and all of these things like
eHarmony.
That's it. Like that's the pickup line. You got a computer who's matching you. You know what I'm saying? Because that's the first thing you have to do. Like that's what the pickup line's about. Like, can I get connected? Can I even get in to have the conversation?
Okay.
It's back to the algorithm.
So exactly. So this whole month has been about balance. We're talking about balance, and that made me think about what is your opinion of a good match? Is a good match? Because I don't think these computers know shit, because if they did, they wouldn't be in business anymore. I don't think. Right? Like, is two compatible people who share all their interests? Or are the best relationships people who have vastly different interests, but happen to have shared genuine curiosity?
I think you go demographic, you go background, education. It's like, one of the things that I was reading about keeping the balance with, marriage and everything else, like what keeps you happy together in the millennial world, and one of those things was that both people had a college degree. Mm-hmm. Right. So like that's something that gets people together or keeps them together. So, OK, let's match that. Let's look at their
matching factor, or it kept them together.
Well, I think it gets you together.
How do they do this, Nick? Because the millennials, that generation hasn't lived long enough to have empirical data, has it?
I don't know about empirical data. I think it's more like, one of the things about the millennials now, I think there's a lot of predictability about them.
Gotcha.
So that's what it is. So I think there's those pieces of the algorithm. Now it gets them together, but I don't know any of the results of, does it keep them together? And
I was just trying to figure out why that would keep you together.
I don't
matter in the marriage.
I don't even know. But any of those things that actually, like, with Match.com or any eHarmony, they say, 90% of our people stay together or whatever, or at least get married. Okay, what happens beyond the marriage, right? What happens with the kids and all that kind of stuff. Right. So the algorithm may be great for getting them together, but are the divorce rates going down? You know what I'm saying? Like all that stuff.
That's good. Like, let's take it around the room, because I'll start with you, Nick. What do you want to be similar to your wife on, and what would you like her to be completely different than you on?
All right. So the different part for me personally. So we've talked about this a number of times. I'm a robot, right? As in, I'm Tin Man. I don't have a heart. So I need somebody with a heart, to teach me how to love, I mean, that's
a really good point, man. Like, that's a decent point.
Yeah.
Like, I think.
So that's the part for me. It's like, it's the, for me, if there is a shortcoming that person does really well, that can balance me out. Not professionally or anything like that, but as a person, then that's what I need. So that's where my wife and I are. Like, we are on the same page.
Where do you have to be the same? Where do you have to be the same? Like, what's a deal breaker if you're not the same?
Oof. I think just general values, right? So it's not necessarily about religion or anything like that, but just our value system has to be the same, because that's what's going to keep us making sure that we're doing together, we're working things out. And then when we have kids, we can raise our kids with the same value system. How we approach other people in the world, we've got the same value system. So yeah, that to me is like, we got to have that. It's like the idea we talk about arguing and stuff, like I don't do that. That's not something I've ever done. Like, I've never even really tolerated anyone who's going to come at me. Let's talk, have a debate if you want. I'm cool with that. Like, we take sides and we go at it with facts. But you come at me, with that emotion, and you want to attack me, that's not working.
Gotcha.
It's just not happening. Like, that will not vibe. So we can't be opposites in that. That's just not going to work for me.
Yeah. And
so we got to have the.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say that you mentioned it in our last talk. So it's the values, but there's also a temperament. And you mentioned that. So I think that's what that is. There's a certain temperament that we share where it's like, yeah, we don't, there's certain ways we handle ourselves that have to be similar. So those are kind of like the deal breakers for me. Everything else is like other things like, do you have the same educational background? No, not necessarily a big deal. But you do have to be intelligent. It's like, where are you from? That's not a big deal. But yeah, I think that's it. So,
well, let me just say this.
All right, go
religion, me and my wife were different on religion. When I met her, she was a Baha'i, and I was figuring myself out, but was pretty sure I was some type of spiritual agnostic.
Religious agnostic.
Yeah, so religious agnostic. I think that's fair to say. And to me, I think if I would have been Catholic or Jewish or Muslim, then the marriage wouldn't work.
Right.
I think the reason it worked is because I didn't identify. And frankly, what I saw in her was that she was saying she was a thing, but she didn't live that thing.
Right. So she didn't necessarily identify either, in truth.
Right. Like, there's a certain type of discipline you have to be truly religious, and she was no monk. So, and then I'm very much like you, Nick, in the sense that, yes, I tend, and I've talked about this before, I tend to fuck off when I don't think that the thing we're doing is important to me. So there's like a selfishness to it, a laziness to it, and so all that kind of stuff. Whereas my wife is a busybody. And so I needed that energy to help me go where I needed to go. So I made that choice to be with somebody who was different from me because I was able, I think personally, and I'm not patting myself on the back, I'm just saying I was able to identify my greatest flaws and then look for that in someone else. Does that make sense? Or am I talking bullshit here?
And I think it's interesting that you say that you looked for, and because for me, I didn't ever really look for it. It was more like one of those things. It's just, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. If it's not, it's not.
It's funny because I did look for it because I knew that I wanted to be a great dad. I knew I wasn't going to be with his mother. And I started dating with the intent of within 1 year finding someone who was going to be the very best stepmother possible.
Not like your boy who was looking for the very best babysitter.
Exactly. That's right. So that's kind of how I got there. Now things that are similar, I think for me, based on my background, it has to be health. Like it has to be the eating habits. It has to be the activity, like the love of sports. Like we have to have that in common, or you have to be willing to let me drag you into it, because I can't like imagine a life where I don't have the freedom to watch a football game on Sunday. That sounds like a life I don't want to live. Right. So
shoot, I'm living some of that life right now, but that doesn't have anything to do with my wife. That has to do with my children.
So your kids don't watch sports with you?
No, man, they can't get down with a soccer game, dude. They're just like, what's happening here? You know, Dad, can I watch Transformers?
Have young kids that will sit through a game?
My daughter will.
Ooh.
Yeah, she'll watch the whole thing?
Yeah, the 4-year-old will sit there and watch because it's what Daddy wants to do. So she'll sit there and sit in my lap and she'll make joke. The other two boys could care less with the. She wasn't here for this last Sunday's Titans game, but the boys, I had it on downstairs, you know, and one's upstairs playing his a French horn that he checked out from the band, so he was playing that. And the other one was playing the 3D. It was playing Jurassic Park, Lego Jurassic Park on his 3DS. Like, yeah, but had she been here, she would have been hanging out with Dad, and she would have been like, she would have been sitting right next to me. So
nice,
she'll do it.
Yeah, I mean, those are some of the things. I'm sure I could think of more things but I feel like I'm easy. Like you don't, I almost, and it could be a self-esteem thing, but I feel like I will compromise to your behavior before I will ask you to compromise to mine. Right. So that's kind of where I'm at. And Jason, what about you? Do you have anything that you must be the same on and things that you would prefer to be different on?
You mean like now or when I was picking her?
Now.
Like, I guess that's a catch.
But you can also, but you're saying those things are different. So expound upon that. I'm
saying, you have to be able to keep up with me mostly, mentally. Like I can't just say a lot that you just kind of look at me and go, oh, okay. You know what I mean? Like that can happen sometimes, but I got to have feedback.
Okay. So you need to feel like you're being listened to and understood.
No. Well, yes. Yes, that's the important part. A lot of people will listen to you. It's still not really, might not have anything to say.
Have you ever thought how difficult it is to understand somebody if they don't even understand themselves?
Yeah. It's difficult. So I had that with my wife. That was a big attraction for me. I could throw something out there and she'd hit it back to me, which is fantastic. But she also has a peacefulness to her that I don't have. And it helps with the kids a lot,
Like a calm, you mean?
A lot of times. Yeah, there's a lot of times I just stop. I'm instructing, and then I can't do it anymore because I want to lose my shit. So I just call out to her, say you're gonna have to finish this. I can't do it.
So you needed a partner that could mellow you out a little bit.
Yeah, because I'm too fucking hot. So
hot.
Yeah,
Okay, so what needs to be so you need a listener because you feel like you're a listener. Did I hear that right?
No, he's a talker.
Or do you need a listener because you're talking? Because that's not the same thing. You see, exactly, Nick. Because that's not the same thing. You're using that as your example of things you need to be the same, but I don't know if that's the same. You're saying you need a listener because you talk, or you need a listener because you listen.
No, I said I needed somebody that was bright.
You're right. He needs somebody to keep up with him.
Yeah, you got to keep up.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Keep up.
So she has to have
how hot you are. It's going to wear off real quick.
Meet him at his intellectual level.
Right. You gotta be able to play ball.
Right. Or at least aspire to be on the level. Right.
Oh wow. I'm just digging my own fucking hole here. But yeah.
Oh boy.
There goes the comments. But yeah, I mean so that was number one. What else are you asking me?
No, that was it. I just I think you gave it to us. You know, what needs to be alike, or it's a deal breaker, and then what would you prefer to be different? And you said, you give somebody that can calm you down a little bit. Someone who has that patience, that maybe that motherly touch that can help you in a family situation because you get to your break point and your top flies off.
Right.
Right.
And of course I had kids that naturally the same way. So she's actually balancing three people that get to a certain level and then just lose their shit.
She puts in work. Money. Yeah, she puts in work.
When my kids go crazy, I like to laugh at them. It just makes them feel terrible. And it kind of embarrasses them a little bit. Like, what are you crying about? Just relax. So this month we covered 3 primary topics, but in a really wide-ranging way. We talked about saying no to our kids, our wives, so that we can have the time to say yes when it really matters. We talked about putting kids first or putting your marriage first. Which one is better? How do you manage that? How do you balance that? And where does the marriage reside amongst your kids, your job, your friends, your family, your hobbies, etc.? And last week we talked about what does marriage mean to our kids? So what are they seeing out of our relationship? What are they taking away from watching us be in a hopefully loving relationship or any kind of relationship with our spouses? And I'll start with you, Brian. What was the primary takeaway from this month's series topic for you? The thing that stands out maybe the most over the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, I think I found myself this month in our discussions kind of not purposely taking the contrarian view, but I feel like that maybe I saw some things different than you guys. Yes. And that was interesting to me. And then I think that this month actually sparked more conversation with me and my wife about different things. Because I knew what we were going to, kind of talk about that week. So I actually, other months, I don't know if we, when we're talking about kids' activities or shared goals, I guess because that's a constant thing that we constantly talk about anyway, like our previous month. This month, it were things that maybe we don't normally talk about.
Gotcha. And
so, based on what we discussed, it would spark conversation at our house that, kind of get more of a gauge of, did we really feel this way? Or, hey, we argue. Is there, is this healthy? Are we going down the right path here? Are we, what are we, teaching our kids? Things like that. Exactly. I mean, it's stayed with me more. I see these topics, this last month have stayed with me the whole week. It made me think about them more than previous months.
What was so I'm curious, what was the outcome of that, especially some of the discussions you had about our topic last week about, hey, are we arguing too much in front of the kids? What was her thought about that?
I mean, we both think that we argue a little more than normal, but I think I like to talk about the symptoms. I like to diagnose the symptoms. So we argue, but why is it? So it's me, a little bit more of me opening up with her about the previous marriage a little bit, and just kind of talking about how, maybe the reason I'm a little bit more prone to push back is because I was a pushover.
Right.
And so, she didn't know me then. So, that's probably, that was a conversation that we hadn't had that our talks actually kind of, made us talk about. And I think actually since we've had that talk, has calmed down a little bit, because I think actually we discussed it, and then maybe there's a little bit more of an understanding, and also kind of how how our actions are, and how, I think this month, what I've really realized this month more than anything is just kind of analyzing everything and then seeing that really that my son is just like my wife and my daughter is just like me. Like
that's what jumped out to
that's
you.
It really jumped out to me through our conversation.
What caused that? What do you think? What did we talk about that caught that recognition with you?
I don't know, but it's really jumped out this month. Like I can't put a pin in it.
Because I remember hearing it. I remember hearing you say that a couple of times. So
yeah, it's jumped out at me, and it's really made me start to the way that I talk to my son is different now. And the way that I talk to my daughter is a little bit different now, because it made me analyze kind of my relationships with them. Because, maybe am I causing some of these problems? And then, and also, we were in, I know I keep going and going, but, we were in Mexico for that week, and the unplugging for a few days.
Right.
Was also great. Right. And then when we came back and talked about that, you brought that up. I didn't really even pick up on the fact that, what that kind of did. And then I was like, what, that was great. So it's been, I'll get home and I'll put my phone in the office, and I'll just, go in the other room. And after we put the kids to bed, I usually don't turn on any television, or I don't turn on anything. And, I just kind of talk to her. And it's something that we had gotten completely out of that, but based on conversations you guys were having about that, and talking about putting the phone down, that made me have a conscious decision to do that a little bit more.
Nice. Well, one of the things it made me think of when you were talking about your kids and kind of addressing them differently, now that you kind of have a different perspective on their personalities. This just leads right into like the Myers-Briggs, and even the use of, which I've done, the life path number. I'm a big proponent of that, and the reason is like, you can start to realize that the conflicts that you're having with other people have to do with, let's say if it's coming from your side, you're not fully understanding the other person's personality, or even some of the buttons that you can push. All right. So like with my kids, we do with everybody, I've done the life path number, and I start to see almost like both sides. Like it tells you like the extreme of this, the negative side of a 7 is this, the positive side of a 7 is this. And you start to realize that some of this stuff, this is what's really cool about the behavioral stuff, is like, it's inherent, right? It's built in, it's inborn. Right. This isn't something like this person's just being a jerk, or this person is being whatever. No, like this is who they are. It's like it's built into their DNA. So, again, they're not doing it necessarily on purpose or reacting in a certain way on purpose. It's just how they're made. So if you understand how they're made, then you can avoid some of the pitfalls in the conversation. You know that if you say certain things a certain way, they're going to react totally different than your other child or your wife will react. So I'm a big proponent of the things like Myers-Briggs, and even something as simple as the life path number.
Yeah. And that's so I guess some people would say the life path number is hokum, but I found it to be kind of startling, because it's
me too.
So accurate. And what we're talking about is numerology for those that don't know. And it seems like hokum, it does, but when you actually read the descriptions and then know the person with the number it goes with, it's pretty startling. And then how often you can kind of guess I used to play that game where, let me guess what your number is. And I would say I have about a 70% hit rate. And that's extremely high. I'm just saying, look, I know you based on your personality. This is going to be your number. I actually did that with Jason. I told Jason he's going to be a 9, and he was a 9.
That's right. That's right.
Just knowing him. So, Jason, what do you think? What did you take away from this month? A lot of topics, a lot of angles we took.
I don't know yet. I don't think I took away a lot.
Well, I mean, here's the thing, Jason. For all the joking that we do, and Michael Jackson Olympics and R. Kelly mentions, I think the end goal here is we want to help people out, and we want to help ourselves out in the process too. So I'm really heartened by what I heard with Brian about how, okay, this has actually been somewhat cathartic for him, and he's used it in his life. So I come back to you, and I guess what my question would be is there a block? Is there something that's keeping you from implementing these things?
Yeah.
That's what I thought. Yeah. So
it's a conversation. So this month has, hasn't been necessarily bad in any way, but I realized when VC was talking that, as opposed to maybe last month, my wife was a little more engaged in listening to the podcast. Not that that's, listen, if you listen to the podcast, honey, the marriage is going to be better. So just listen to me spout off for 2 fucking hours. But no.
But here's the thing too, Jason. You have to start admitting that matters to you. You do. I'm just telling you, man. Like brother to brother, you have to let your wife know that matters. That's important to you because this is listen to the podcast because these are my thoughts.
I'm a performer.
Yeah.
So this is it right now.
Yeah, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that.
But today this is it. So yeah, you gotta listen to my shtick. But so this month, not a lot of conversation. Just some tonight actually that started. My wife listened to. I guess it'll the last of the most recent podcast. Mm-hmm. It started something, but then the kids. It's been so hard to talk. It's been so hard to talk recently with the kids. I don't ever get to, if I want to tell a story or listen to a story or have a discussion, like within 4 seconds I'm interrupted, and then another 30 seconds later I'm interrupted. So
it's like you need a tree house for the kids to play in, so you guys can talk.
I did, but one thing that I did, I mean, I do, but the one thing that hit me in there was like this lack of balance that I'm working to attain in every area, but just in my own with my own sanity in an approach to parenthood and marriage. Like there's that other thing too, where we're like, oh, how do we balance parenthood and marriage, right? And get for what you want to achieve for your with your wife or your spouse, and what you want to achieve for your kids in there. But what can fizzle away there in a lot of situations is that center, that you. And it starts, you're like, I don't even have, I need to find balance for me. I guess that's what I took away. And I don't think I've done that. So
can you expound on that though?
Yeah.
On this idea of what balance for you means?
Yeah. It means that I've focused on the kids, and I have focused on the marriage. I don't know as if I've focused on me.
Can I ask?
I haven't tried to balance me out.
Yeah. Sorry. I it just jumped right into my mind because I realized.
Go ahead.
I realized that I haven't asked you this in probably, has it been? Yeah, I think it's been like 8 months. Like, when's the last time you've done any writing? I used to ask you that all the time. Like, I mean, on your project.
Yeah. What month is it?
September.
September.
Do you remember?
So
literally the time.
It's been you maybe 8 months. Yeah, I mean it's been around there. So balance with me has not been good. So though I'm fighting for balance with my kids, between my kids and my wife, and family and marriage, and group time or individual, like the me in that gets neglected, which I don't often say that because I think that's for fucking whiners. But well, maybe that's a flaw. But
yeah, it's not for whiners, dude. I freaking wrote a blog post about that crap. Like, stealing time, for yourself, literally. Like just,
yeah. I mean, that's true. I guess when I hear other people say it, I don't think that they're whining. But when I say it, that works sometimes. You're like, oh, other people, you give other people a pass, but then you're like, for yourself.
Hard on yourself.
Like, yeah, but I can't. Well, I can't do that. I don't know. Fucking baby.
Shoot, I'll tell you right now, we'll be up till like 1 o'clock, sometimes 1:30 in the morning, and I got to be up. The kid's going to be up. I got to be up 6 o'clock. I'm still in time from my sleep to have this conversation.
But right there, I do that. I steal from myself.
Right. Yeah.
But I don't steal from anybody else.
No, I got you there. But that's what I mean. It's like you're stealing time. In order to make the time for yourself, you have to steal these moments. It's really hard.
But hear what he's saying, Nick, because what he's saying he needs 30 minutes to relax before he can spend 1 hour working. So then he ends up watching TV. Am I right? Like you end up
or it's
not actually doing productive stuff.
Like, because I have a clock. And it runs out, like, I don't know, like, I think you and Nick are a little bit different on this. Like, I can stay up. Last night I was up till 12:30. It was not productive. Like, it's very difficult for me to be truly productive between, 10 o'clock, maybe when my wife goes to bed, and 12 o'clock. So though I've done it many times, a lot of times it's forced, and it always feels forced. Like, it's very difficult for me to have to push myself to do it, because the times that I am productive or that I really want are not sleepy time for everybody else. I don't have that thing. I might be able to stay up late, but it's a mindless late,
that's unfortunate, because that's the time that I got to take, even little stuff like you guys were talking about watching a football game. All my soccer games are recorded. I don't watch my games when they come on. It just never happens. So mine could be at midnight. And I could be tired as hell. And sometimes, I have fallen asleep mid-game, but there's like you said, Jay, just about forcing it. I force that stuff because it's almost like a personal refusal not to be able to have some of that time. So if I can get,
I totally do that.
Yeah.
I squeezed in Ray Donovan last night and a little bit of Deuce, which I'm not so sure on yet, but like I can do that because I can fall asleep or whatever, but like that time where I need time for my brain.
I got a question.
It's totally active, and I can't do that at night.
I got a question. So I think it gets back to something that Chris said earlier, not necessarily asked, but do you share with your wife basically what's important to you? And I'm asking this because, I actually have a day, it's Thursdays, that I work on my non-day job stuff when I get home. So I do my day job, I come home, I start working on my other stuff. That's an agreement because she knows how important that is. So we pick the day, we pick time, there's certain caveats, right? So like it's normally I work until, let's say, midnight, but there's a break in there where I'll help her with the kids,
Nick,
put them to bed.
Nick, let me jump in really quick before Jason answers, because this is super critical. How did you go about asking for the agreement? Because I think that's the hard part.
Yeah, so to me, I just...
Hey, woman.
Yeah, right.
See, and you said you didn't have any pickup lines, Brian.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so here it was just a matter of, explaining to her what I was trying to accomplish, and the fact that in the time that I was using so far, like how I was going about it, stealing time at midnight, it wasn't working. Because like Jason was saying, like the mind share isn't necessarily that you're tired at that point. You've done everything throughout the day, and here you are left with what's left of yourself to try to get things done. And I said, it's slowing me down. I'm really not able to accomplish what I need to accomplish. In some cases, I've got other people who are counting on me to do certain things. And, if I'm going to be successful at this thing, I need to devote real time to it. So what I'd like to do is this, so I looked at the schedule, the other things that we had, throughout the week, and basically picked the day that what I thought was least impactful. And that was that day, Thursday. So we had that discussion, and yeah, she was open to it. But again, she knew how important it was, and she respected how important it was. And then that's what I do now, right? So now I've got this day where I'm doing my thing.
And you never do it at home, right?
Oh, I do. Sometimes I do. Okay. So, when I'm running the two screens, I got the 2 monitors or 3 monitors up, I have to be at home. But other days, I was actually not even coming home just to be away so that the kids wouldn't be in my office messing with me.
Well, not just that, Nick. I mean, you got people coming in and out of your house all the time. Your house is like my house. My house is the house of distraction. There are people coming in and out of doors or stomping or running all the time. You have to leave.
Yeah, so I've been I've been in both situations, right? So the other part of that is, I think Chris and you and I have talked about this, is that it was easier to do at this time, or when we did it, because my wife actually started doing boot camp, right? So there are certain things that she's doing for herself, and she understands the need to have that time as well. So I do believe that did play a part in my having my time, because she knew that she had certain days where she needed hers as well. But anyway, just put it out there to say that that's a discussion I had to have, because I was having a similar struggle where I can stay up late. Yeah, I can do that. I can force it, but it's not as valuable as the time that I can get, say 5 to 8. And then again from, 9 to midnight, that time is much better. So just wondering if you had that conversation with her about the importance of things.
And it's not necessarily about that for me, because she's pretty understanding with that. I isolate Monday nights after 9 or 8:30, and Thursday nights to a degree as well already. But I need more than that. Of course, there's a trade-off there, and there's guilt. There's some guilt with me, because I almost said allow. I wouldn't say no or disagree if she had those things, but and that's a personality thing, so I shouldn't have to worry about that, or I can't necessarily let that burden me, guilt me. But I have that guilt, like, well, I mean, I just ask to, even though it's for family in the long run, when I ask for these things, well, they're not being asked in return. So I'm like, I feel that guilt, but probably the other part, and now that I think about it, it wouldn't be great. It wouldn't be optimal if I didn't come home, as far as, I still don't have maybe the privacy that I'm looking for, but maybe staying at work, for 2 or 3 hours when I wasn't working, at that profession, might be the best idea, because I can't. I have 2 kids. They're crazy. My children are crazy, and they tear my house apart. And like to think, I can come home and work and escape them while they're awake in my 1,500 square foot home, impossible. It's just not doable.
Yeah, stay out.
Not with a personality type.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I was doing that. I would go straight from the job to the local restaurant that had Wi-Fi, and I would sit there until, nearly 8 o'clock, go home, help with the kids. And then, once that was done, I would maybe get some more work done, because it's hard, man. Yeah. So that could be an option.
I may have to do that. I so desperately want to build a garage so I can be out there, and have a room above it working.
Right. And you're right about that. That guilt is probably, it's going to hurt you even more, because you hear the craziness that's happening, the kids screaming, and your wife is having to deal with it. Right. You just feel like you got to help.
Yeah, you do, because my kids are non-stop. They're non-stop. Yeah. They're they stay with their grandmother. Recently she's like, they just don't stop. They fight, wrestle, pull all day long. If you can't stick them on their iPads, and even then they're probably running back and forth. It's just madness. So I hear her in there, and I'm like, I can't.
Yeah, you got to get away.
Number one, no matter what, I can't fucking focus.
Yeah, no, you got to get away. You can't do that. That's not a work day. That's
Yeah.
You
Hey,
got
I wrote 4 sentences. Oh, this is going well.
And then a big part of it too is just like you mentioned before, discipline. I think for me, I have a little mix of both Nick and you, Jason, in that where I'll be gifted a nice amount of time, and instead of working, I'll pick Ray Donovan. And then there's a lot of time where I'll get that time and I'll hammer some things out. And the crazy thing is the reward of that is so it's like a high. It's like a rush to know that you got so much done in a period of time. And you think, oh man, if I didn't have kids and a wife, I'd crush. And then, and I would say that's what I've taken away from this month is that that's a lie you tell yourself when you don't have discipline. Because when I really look at it, I have lots of time, but how am I using it? Am I consistent?
Yes, especially as your kids get older. Right. I'd say that.
Right.
Like a lot of things change when they get older about their, self-sufficiency and other, interests that they have. But yeah, when they're little, that's when it's a little bit different.
Oh, absolutely.
But I'll take the other side of that too, where you were talking about, if I was single and have a wife, when we started creative endeavors, and I'm like, oh yeah, I got lots of time. But I still wasn't disciplined. I didn't have anything to do.
Right.
Yeah.
What was I going to do? Drink beers, try to screw chicks and smoke cigarettes. I had nothing.
Right. Right.
So, but I didn't hand you 1,000 pages. I didn't have anything there. I was just like, I guess I'm going to watch John Adams and Sopranos,
Discipline equals freedom. It does. I've lived on both sides of the coin. In my 20s, I had a singing group, and the responsibility to those members meant I was writing songs and producing them and orchestrating the harmonies and the melodies all day long. I was prolific. I would do between 5 and 10 of those songs a day. And Nick can attest to that because that's about the time, the era that he met me. But I've been on the flip side of that. So the thing with me is that I know the reward of this disciplined work. It's enormous. And you get to a level of mastery where the work actually becomes easy.
Enormous like Black Crocs?
Like Black Crocs or the number one search term for gay men in Indiana, chub. Facts, hashtag facts.
Oh, you Hoosiers.
So yeah, I've been on both sides of that coin, and I want to stay more. And you're right. That's why I don't worry about the three of you guys, because I can tell you there's going to be a time in the very near future, and Brian's tasting a little bit of this now, I'm sure, with Jack, that the kids don't need you. They just don't. My oldest daughter and my son, they need me for things that I actually enjoy doing. If my son wants to go play basketball with me, I'm down because I wanted to go play anyway. If my daughter needs me to just hang out with her, eat dinner with her, take her somewhere, a lot of times it's help me, write a resume, help me get ready for college, give me fashion advice. I'll do that. Let's go for it. Solve an argument. That's the number one request from my oldest daughter now. Solve this argument, Dad, between me and Mom. So I love being called on as the sage. That's just an ego stroke. So
who wins those arguments?
My wife wins them because she refuses to lose them. There's a
that's right.
There's a difference, Brian, between being right and wrong and winning. Yeah, it's so different. But yeah, I've taken that away from this month in a major way, and then also just this idea of evaluating where I'm not bringing it, and then fixing those things. So I think I've asked a lot this month, how can I help? Like taking my blessings for granted, the fact that my wife will do things that I've gotten so comfortable with that I don't realize she's doing them anymore, which is really dangerous. And then on the flip side, when things do get a little heated between me and her, and I think she's in the wrong, me being able to say to her, you don't want to go down this road. Why are you doing this? Why are we yelling right now? Let's not do that. because I actually am a lot like Nick in the sense that I actually don't prefer to argue. I don't. So I think that has been tremendous over the last 6 months that we argue so much less now. And when we do, it's not a tear the walls down fight where we have to have, incredible makeup sex afterwards. I'm kidding, but those old fights from years ago, those were dangerous fights. The fights we have now, they're just regular fights, just regular everyday husband, wife, working it out kind of discussions, which these conversations have helped me with dramatically. I want to circle back around to Brian to close this out because I wanted.
Oh man, you didn't give me my platform.
I thought you actually did. So yeah, I thought you piggybacked on what Brian said. Okay, go ahead. Yeah, I don't want to skip you at all. Go for it. I was going to ask Brian a separate question, by the way.
Right, exactly. So let me get on in this. So my thing that I took away was actually, again, back to Jason. So one of the things, a theme I think for the past couple of weeks has been that, Jason, you said you don't have advice or tips or tricks to offer, right? So if you don't have those things to offer, you don't have to answer the question, but if you don't have those things to offer, then how would you engage in the conversation with somebody about marriage, right? If you don't think you have anything to offer, then you wouldn't step up to say, hey, think about this, or someone was talking about it, you wouldn't engage them. So on the other side of that coin, do you seek advice from other people for your marriage? Because you know that there are some things that you need to work on. So do you actively go out and seek advice? And I would say the answer is probably no. So that had me thinking about, this conversation and the fact that I never talked to anybody about any of this stuff, right? A lot of this is just my stuff. Let me deal with my stuff. I'll figure out my stuff, and in a lot of cases, I think, we're doing well, but I could always do better. But I never really reached out to anybody for better. I don't read books, about improving my marriage. I don't listen to podcasts about improving my marriage. I don't talk to friends. At least I didn't until this conversation, right? So it just started making, and I was talking to someone I just recently met at a barbecue about what we're doing here. And this guy says to me, he's like, man, there's gotta be a huge market for what you guys are doing because guys don't do what you guys are doing.
Right. We don't talk.
Right. Like that's maybe, so it had me thinking about all sorts of other stuff. Like, a lot of things are changing in our society, right? Like there's this idea of, I'm not even calling it feminism, but like the female independence, like that is a movement that continues to move. There's a change, right? They don't need us. There's their expectations of what their role is in marriage is changing, what their role is in society is changing, what their role is in business and corporations and jobs and, the pay is changing. Right, so then you look at the idea of the, homosexuality, the LGBT and Q community questioning, and now you've got additional letters that they've added to that. That is changing. That whole dynamic is changing. So now I'm like, if all of that stuff is changing, for the most part, people start to think about, well, the man is losing, right? As the woman now has her independence, she doesn't need us. As now you have lesbian women, that's fewer women on the market for the man. Like a lot of things that are just man is losing in these cases. And I just kind of wonder, maybe this is the time for the shift for us away from some of the old stuff that we used to do, like hold this stuff in. Like maybe it's time for a movement for us towards the conversation. Like we should be doing this. We should be fostering this. We should be encouraging this, that we, because this is good for us, even if it's tiny little things that we change or even just think about changing in us, then I think that could be huge for, I mean, like I said, it could be it's a movement, just like the women are having a movement right now. Men could be shifting and saying, break down these machismo masculine walls and just talk.
Yep.
Just talk. So that's what this past week and some of the commentary we made here has just got me thinking about is that, I think there's a huge opportunity, and hopefully that we can be, maybe I'm late to the game and I don't know it, but, maybe we can help to be leaders in that and to say, yeah, guys, like find some fellas to talk to. You don't have to, like, I think Jason said it early, like, you don't bitch. Don't get together to bitch. That's not the point. You get together to figure out how to find balance in yourself, because maybe other people can help you, and then maybe find balance with your families or just improve. I think there's a huge opportunity for us to do.
Yeah.
I love that. And I'll circle back to Brian to shortly, or to close this up shortly, but it was this concept that Jason and you were talking about with the agreements. And I was curious, because I have a similar agreement, Nick, by the way. So for mine is Saturday, and we put it on our shared calendar. Jason, stop laughing. It's a shared calendar. It's called Chris's Creative Block, and it happens every Saturday at 3:00 to 6:00. And it's that time that I can actually do anything I want to creative, because I'm a bit of a dilettante, and go for it. And everybody just stays out of my hair, and it's an agreement that we made. So I was wondering, Brian, do you have any kind of agreements with your wife? Just to bring us home on that?
Yeah, I mean, I do. I mean, this block of time that we're doing this, right? That's the agreement. Yeah, I mean, this block of time that we're doing this, we were in the middle of episode 7 of Ozark, and the Skype starts to go off, and it's time to get up and go. So, that's the block of time we're taking. I actually,
great episode. You really fucked up in choosing us.
Yeah, I agree. No, I'm just kidding. There's that. There's, every Sunday at noon, in the fall. That's times, I don't have these, what we're doing here is my creative time, I have a creative block. I did have to cancel, some time that I have, because it just, I had to reflect then and figure out that it was just asking too much of everybody in the family. But, I am a card carrying geek. Okay. And I play Dungeons and Dragons. And I actually had to tell a group of men today that, and men, not boys, group of men today that, hey, I can't play.
You had to tell the boys, not men, that it was the end of the road for Dungeons and Dragons?
I did. I had to tell them it was in the road for me, for right now, because it's just the only time we all had to do it was Sunday evening. And, I spent this last Sunday evening doing laundry, food prepping, and more laundry. Which by the way, I hate laundry.
And top that off.
Yeah, that's right. Then more laundry.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, so I think, it's okay to have these times, but I will say there is some response in order for you to be able to maintain these times, right? It's your responsibility to understand that it's okay when they can balance, but if you start to ask for too much time for yourself and to take away from family, or start to skate on family things, family responsibilities, that it can affect other times, so I know that by cutting that one night a month out, that I can get that goodwill back, and it'll allow me to do other things I want to do.
Create that balance. Exactly. So our next month's topic is going to be, what is a man to do? In an era that is witnessing the continued unraveling of the traditional roles and perceptions of gender, where does that leave the traditional man? So we're going to dive in next week on that. And I think we're going to start with how we communicate with each other, how we confide in each other about our marriages, and, what that would take for men to start opening it up to one another, which we are terrible at. So thank you for everyone who listened this month to the topic. I hope you guys got a lot out of it. I know that the four of us did for sure. And you have, of course, been listening to the Married Not Dead podcast. To find show notes, read awesome blog posts, and find links to all of the products or services suggested during the show, please visit our blog at, for now, marriednotdead.org. We are going to change that soon, so look out for that on the social media. If you haven't already, you can join our podcast tribe on the Apple Podcast app. Please rate and review. We can't tell you how much that helps. We are other places as well: Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, TuneIn, iHeart, you name it. So I don't know Brian, what is the rate and review situation at those other places? Is it just matter on Apple Podcasts mostly?
Yeah. I mean, Apple Podcasts, I would say that we are on bended knee for to ask you to do that. And the other ones, you just have to. Well, I'll keep this going till the water runs dry.
So just make sure we go Apple Podcasts, right?
So just yesterday, I checked. I checked on all the other ones. Just subscribe. You can favorite like on iHeartRadio, things like that, and just give us a listen and listen to us 20 times in a week. That's okay.
Me a helping hand on that. If I were homosexual, man, I could just make love to you. So you can find, and
thank you.
You can find us.
Keep playing around with this.
It's quite the evolution.
Boys to Men Olympics has come to a close. Oh my goodness.
Do it all night long.
So you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at _Married Not Dead. You can search for us on Facebook by just simply typing in Married Not Dead podcast, and you will find our page and all of our posts. Make sure you like that page. So until next time, this has been a blast, gentlemen. On behalf of Nicholas Buggs, Brian Comer, and Jason McConnell, I'm Chris Barkley. We'll see you all next week. All right, gents.
All right, folks. Take it easy.
Later.
All right. Peace. Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/MND podcast. There are over 180,000 titles to choose from, including one of my personal favorites, How to Get Filthy Rich in Rising Asia by Mohsen Hamid. Do not judge this book by its title. The ending had me crying in the middle of a 4-hour flight to Los Angeles. It's made even better by Mohsen's narration, and you can download How to Get Filthy Rich in Rising Asia or any other audiobook of your choice today. Again, for listeners of the Married Not Dead podcast, Audible is offering a free audiobook download with a free 30-day trial to give you the opportunity to check out their service. So, to download your free audiobook, go to audibletrial.com/MND podcast. Again, that's audibletrial.com/MND podcast to get your free audiobook today. You will not regret it.